Hello and welcome to another episode of MC Airsoft. I'm Mark, and today we're going to be talking about my Mark 12 build. Now, the first things first, it's not at all clone correct. It's more of an inspired, or what I like to call a 10-foot Mark 12. You know, it is a Mark 12 at 10 feet away. You know, it's obviously the scope. I'm not shelling out for a Leopold scope for an airsoft gun. That's just how it is. And then some other things like the bipod foregrip up here. That's my choice. You don't see it on a lot of Mark 12s. You know, that's just my choice. So, a little bit about the Mark 12. This specific version is the Mod 1. It's what was in use with SOCOM for a while. It was in use with the Marine Corps when I was in. I got to see one in my 4 years, and it left an impression. So for Airsoft, I knew getting back into it, it's something I had to build out. Now, so getting into what this gun is specifically, I like to tinker with things, as I'm sure you'll get the vibe for more videos I do. So I wanted to get a rifle that I could shoot out of the box. I could go take it, have fun with it. It's a budget build, and over the course of a few months or however long it would take, I could build it out into a Mark 12. So maybe someday I'll get the appropriate scope. I'll probably get a PEC here in the future if I get nods or something like that, you know, a reason to have it. But the base gun itself is a JG or Golden Eagle M16A4. The reason I picked that is, one, M16 is what I was issued, so I knew I was going to be comfortable with it right out of the box. Did issue myself an M4, but that's a different story. But also I knew that there was potential to make it into a DMR if I wanted to do that. I could make it into something shorter if I wanted to do that, but it already sets me up in the right package for a DMR platform. In addition to that, it did come with a battery, which, you know, I don't use. I have it on hand for a spare battery. You really shouldn't be using the ones that most guns come with, except for this one, but we'll talk about that in its own video. It came with a battery, so I could at least test fire it. Came with a high cap, which if you only have one mag, that's great. I bought a few extra mags that day. And I also bought the scope that day. The foregrip already had, but yeah, so the scope I believe is a Lancer Tactical. Not great, but it's also only $30 or so. Has fairly clear glass, which I was surprised with, but the mounting hardware is kind of bad. You're limited in options of what you can do with it. But importantly to me, it is a 3 to 9 times scope, which is fairly appropriate to what was issued on Mark 12s. I believe that they were 3 to 8 times scopes, if I remember right, but I'm sure someone, if anyone cares, can correct me. In addition to that, this was a Marine Corps issued bipod foregrip, so it is not one of the cheap little airsoft ones. They're like, I played with one of those in the store, then thankfully remember that I had one still that I purchased while I was in, and this is definitely a lot more sturdy, which, because it is spring loaded, and it has a fairly strong spring in it, and because these bipod legs down here are not very thick, I wanted to go with the actual one because I knew it'd be sturdy. Now, I forgot to throw back on my front sight, but I am running some imitation or replica CAC style sights, the flip up sights. Nothing special. It's the tube one in the back with a little circle on it, and then the front flip up is the full flip up, the flat one. So the real ones retail for $400 together, so the replica ones are a fairly good deal, and they are, I believe, clone correct, although front sights, they change and different people might throw their own stuff on. For anyone doing impression kits out there that are specific to a unit or a time frame, remember that people are going to change out gear, especially things like grips, sights. I mean, I was an armor and I still had an angle foregrip on my M16 because that's what I prefer to shoot with. So obviously some units out there are going to say don't put that on, you can't have that on your rifle, whatever. And there's certain things that are going to be required, but you can always add some personal flair to it. Now, the Marine Corps ones were issued with the full stocks. That's one of the first differences, is I have a little QD point right there on the stock because that's what the JG M16 comes with. Another difference is I am a little bit, I think, long on my barrel, but it's within the range that most people aren't going to notice unless they watch this video and I tell them. Low profile gas block, it's just the cheapest one you can find from Evike. The gun itself I purchased from Modern Airsoft because it's down in Phoenix, which was a drive away, rather than going to Evike, which is a weekend trip almost at this point. But the JG M16 does come with the full length, I think it's a 20-inch or so tight bore barrel, but it comes with the tight bore, so it's probably 6.03, which is a good starting place for a DMR type build or an SPR like this is. Now, SPR is just special purpose rifle. It could be, in theory, a CQB type gun, but most commonly it refers to some kind of designated marksman rifle. But generally it's going to be low powered compared to a proper DMR. But this was the DMR for the Marine Corps and SOCOM for a while. So yeah, low profile gas block from Evike, flash hider from Evike, which does come with the thread protector but does not come with a suppressor. I had to cut the barrel in order to mount it. There is a threaded screw on the bottom, so you can mount it that way. This is the CYMA 12.5-inch rail, which is meant to look like the, I believe CAC makes these for the real ones. But yeah, so a little bit of a close-up on it. It's not too bad. Not too bad looking. Gave it a new paint job for today as I finished installing the parts. So I think that's it for externals. It's got the original grip, although I did cut off the nub. Got the original upper and lower, all the hardware on those. Got the original buttstock, and got the original barrel, even though I cut that down. Internally, so the first thing I did was I swapped the spring because it was shooting over 400 and I knew I wanted to keep it semi and full auto because I want to fill more of a traditional DMR role rather than a airsoft DMR role. So I want to be able to roll in with a team or whatever, whoever I'm happening to be with, and still be able to go into buildings without a minimum engagement distance. I want to still be able to go full auto if if the field allows that, if I need to do suppressing fire, although I really don't shoot on full auto very often. I honestly don't see the point for most circumstances. So the first thing I did was I put an M110 spring in there, I believe. So it's shooting around that 390-ish mark right now. Then I went through and did a compression tune-up on it. Nothing really purchased, mostly cleaning things out, expanding O-rings, adding some Teflon tape where I needed to. It really just taking the compression set from what people want for their DMR builds, or what people are talking about for their DMR builds, and I just applied it to the inside of here. Now I'm obviously not going to be hopping 0.4s very well with just the standard stock setup, so I went in and let's see, I'll have to bring it closer to the camera. I went in today and put an MEG Maxxpro hopup in there. So it's shooting pretty consistently out to the 250 foot mark. I'm going to need to actually test that when I get to somewhere that doesn't have a lot of wind. Unfortunately, I live in a wind tunnel, so that's not very good. But hopping 0.6s, it was shooting about 225, 250 with a slight angle up, but I still have to figure that one out. I have it on the 4th hop setting right now, so I could potentially push it up heavier. It is R-hopped. We'll see if I end up keeping that in there, how long that lasts, because I did it myself with the patch from Evike. But other than that, it is pretty much stock internals. I did have to replace the fuse. It is running a 9.6 Tenergy battery. I know I'm not on lithium or lipo yet. I don't trust it. Let's be honest. I don't trust it. I'm sticking with what I know right now. So in the future, I'm going to probably be experimenting with lipo batteries. But as for right now, I'm fine with the old school batteries. And having a full stock means, well, I can fit pretty much any battery I want in it. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I figured I'd share it with you guys. It did shoot great out of the box, so if you are looking for an M16, JG made a good one. My only real complaint with the JG is one split hop-up unit, so I did have to do some Dremel work to get the Maxxpro in there, and 2, because it is a plastic receiver, you can flex the barrel side to side or up and down. But other than that, yeah, if anyone cares to know how I painted this, there's a ton of YouTube videos out there for it, but if you guys really want to know, then I can do a video on that later whenever this needs a new paint job. So let me know in the comments. And until the next video, stay safe and stay hydrated.